series of videos will look back at the 1975-76 season as QPR looked to build on an impressive few years and challenge not only for a European place but for the First Division Championship. Manager Dave Sexton had built on his predecessor Gordon Jago's side, and he had real experience in the team. Also, he had multiple internationals. Jerry Francis, Dave Thomas and Ian Gillard had all started for England against Wales during the summer, before Francis scored twice in a 5-1 win over Scotland, cementing the belief that we had a special squad of players. Sexton then looked to add to his squad, bringing in John Hollins from Chelsea. Hollins had played over 400 times for Chelsea, winning the FA Cup, the League Cup and the European Cup Winners' Cup. So he brought a real winning mentality with him. And as he approached his 30s, he was someone who could fill in multiple positions for Q.P.R.
It was at a time where Chelsea were new stand at that time, I think, and changing things round, and new players, new manager. Eddie McCready had taken over. Didn't see me as part of the plans. Butch Wilkins coming through, various Clive Walker, other youngsters coming through, and said, well, you know, we can sell you on. And Dave Sexton came in, went to Q.P.R, and really it was like F Troop, all the old guys there. I think I was the youngest. But from going from one club, which was always built around young players, to a side that was relatively, they were all internationals, and from day one, from being there, I mean, Frank McClintock, Dave Clement, Phil Parks, Bowles, Masson, Givens, Thomas. There was a hell of a lot of experience.
For pre-season, Rangers travelled to West Germany for a 3-match tour, beating second division side Wuppertal 2-1. Then they beat Paderborn 6-2, but the big game was against reigning German champions Borussia Mönchengladbach. Now, the German side had just won the Bundesliga for the third time in 5 seasons, and had also just won the UEFA Cup. It was a glorious era for them. They would go on to win the league again in 75-76 and again in 76-77, so they were a tough opponent for Rangers. Their team was full of World Cup winners such as Bertie Vogts, but they would prove to be no match for Dave Sexton's Q.P.R. side.
This is Wimmer. Through to Jensen, a real chance, and the German champions in the lead, 1-0. Don Masson. Everything starting from midfield for Rangers. Good looking ball to Givens. He's got options here, and Stambols puts Queen's Park Rangers level. Fantastic effort from the London side. Bowles' corner. Up goes Webb. And Rangers ahead. It's a great header from Dave Webb. Rangers looking very, very comfortable on the ball. Dave Clement joining the attack. Lifts it towards the far post, and Stambols! Well, there's a collector's item. A header from Stambols, and Rangers have 3. Thomas will take it, but leaving it for Bowles. It's headed away, but lofted back in there again. Masson. It's a great turn from him, and it's Webb again! A second goal for Dave Webb, and Rangers have 4 and are walking it.
So a stunning win for Q.P.R, and belief was growing that this team could really achieve something special. A week before the start of the season, Rangers travelled to Spain to play in the Bilbao tournament, where we faced Portuguese champions Benfica in the semi-final. Goals from Stan Bowles, Dave Clement, Dave Webb and new boy John Hollins helped us to a 4-2 win. Benfica would go on to win the league again that season. We faced Athletic Bilbao in the final, but lost 3-0 to end an impressive pre-season for Rangers. So with pre-season over, it was time to start the new season. And it was going to be a tough start for Rangers, facing Liverpool, who were a trophy-winning machine. They had won the league and UEFA Cup in 1973 and the FA Cup in 1974 under legendary manager Bill Shankly. But since his departure, new manager Bob Paisley had overseen a trophyless first season at Anfield. Still, they were going to be tough opponents and were one of the favourites for the title that season. Rangers had never beaten Liverpool, losing 7 of the previous 8 games against them. The school end was full of red and white scarves supporting Liverpool at a packed Loftus Road, as Rangers looked to get off to a winning start in front of the Match of the Day cameras.
First, second and second again. That's been Liverpool's record in the First Division Championship these last 3 seasons. So it's not surprising to see the huge red army of supporters following them south at the beginning of this new campaign. Interesting ball from Nasson, there's Givens, and he's going to make it, is he? No! A superb recovery. Bowles. Thomas to his left. Just too high for Bowles. Here's Francis. Oh, he got over that beautifully, did Francis. Kept it down. That was well played by Bowles to Francis, and Givens. Back to Francis. It's a good chance here. Oh, superbly taken by Jerry Francis. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Liverpool 0. A swift, good build-up that by Queen's Park Rangers, carving a hole in the Liverpool defence. Givens playing his part, Francis going through for the return, and a sweeter finish you could not wish to see. Thomas. Still on for the cross, here's Francis. Leach! Oh, superbly headed in by Mick Leach. He always has had the knack of coming from deep positions, and the substitute makes it 2-0.
Phil Parkes threw it out and they never touched the ball. It was unheard of that Liverpool never touched the ball. Of course, Emlyn Hughes was putting his hands up for offside, but they never touched the ball. It must have all happened in a minute. He was that good.
I think what really gave us the confidence, if that was needed, or the belief, if that was needed, was the opening game of the season against the team that were winning the league year in, year out. It was Liverpool.
So a great start to the season for Q.P.R, beating the favourites for the title. But it wasn't enough to hit top spot on that first day of the season. Newcastle got off to an impressive start as well, winning 3-0 away at Ipswich Town. Newly promoted Aston Villa lost 2-1 at home to Leeds, and just 3 days later they were heading south for a midweek game under the lights at Loftus Road. Rangers had to make 2 changes from the side that had so comprehensively beaten Liverpool. New signing John Hollins limped off in that game, so was missing here, whilst Dave Webb was ruled out with an Achilles injury. Ron Abbott slotted into defence, and veteran Mick Leach moved into midfield. The injury problems worsened for us when Frank McClintock was taken off after being on the end of some tough tackles, so John Beck came on and moved into midfield, with Leach moving to left-back and Ian Gillard and Ron Abbott forming a new centre-half pairing. Despite all those changes, Rangers took the lead on 59 minutes when Jerry Francis made it 2 goals for the season, angling in a fine shot. Despite Rangers dominating midfield, we were forced to settle for a point when Keith Leonard headed in his 11th career goal for Aston Villa, and what was his first goal for them in the top flight. Newly promoted Manchester United's 2-0 win at Birmingham meant they were the only side with a 100% record, as the second round of fixtures showed just how tight the league was going to be. There was 9 draws in 11 matches played that week, which included Liverpool picking up their first point of the season with a 2-2 draw at home to West Ham. Next up for Q.P.R was a trip to the reigning league champions Derby County, and we made the trip missing our first choice centre-halves, with McClintock and Webb both missing for injury. Sexton turned an 18-year-old Tony Tagg, who faced a daunting debut in a Q.P.R shirt. Given the changes to the team, you would have expected Derby to win the game comfortably, but Rangers showed what a good team they were, producing one of the shock results of the season. We took the lead after good work by Bowles and Givens, and that was finished off by Dave Thomas. Q.P.R made it 2-0 just 4 minutes later, after a long clearance by Phil Parkes was pounced on by Bowles and he headed past the keeper. Scottish international Don Masson tried a free kick routine, tapping it square for Dave Clement, and he smashed the ball into the net for number 3. Bowles added a 4th before completing his hat-trick with a penalty, which he chipped down the middle of the goal, A year before, that famous penalty star was named the Panenka. Derby pulled one back through Roy McFarland, but Rangers had sent out a message to the rest of the league, thrashing the champions 5-1 in their own backyard and completing an impressive hat-trick of beating the reigning English, German and Portuguese champions within a couple of weeks.
Well, they were obviously the reigning League One champions, Derby, when we went there, and we won 5-1, but it was a much tougher game than that. I mean, Derby's pitch was never the best, well, I don't suppose people remember, but it was always not the greatest of pitches. But at times we were under a lot of pressure during that game. But our turnover and our breaks and the way we changed pace and got into our forward movement was tremendous. And certainly we were a real good footballing team on the break.
So Rangers were up to third in the table. Newly promoted Man United were top after making an impressive start. Tommy Docherty's young side thrashed Sheffield United 5-1 at Old Trafford to show that, like Q.P.R, they were going to be another team to look out for. We faced a trip to Wolves next, naming an unchanged side, and we took the lead through Don Gibbons' first goal of the season. John Richards equalised for Wolves on 19 minutes before we retook the lead on 31 minutes, thanks to a second goal from Don Gibbons. In an eventful first half, the home side were given a penalty right on half-time after a foul on Richards, and the penalty was converted by Kenny Hibbett. Neither side were able to find a winner, so we had to settle for a point, whilst West Ham's 1-0 win at Spurs moved them above Rangers into second place, before the two sides met at Loftus Road with the big match cameras in town.
And first of all today, let's catch up on the two teams. Both, in fact, are unchanged. Rangers still without the injured Webb and McClintock, but Johnny Hollins has recovered from a hamstring injury and he is the substitute. West Ham, meanwhile, field the side that beat Tottenham in midweek, and Johnny Ayres is now their sub. Quite a test again for the young Rangers defender Tony Tagg, 18 years old from Chessington in Surrey. He'll be running up against the man who scored those two cup final goals, Alan Taylor of West Ham. 5 goals already this season. The crowd, boisterous but well behaved, 28,000 strong.
Well, I'm sure West Ham will remember that at Upton Park in January in the mud, Masson scored a very good free kick goal against West Ham. 5 men in the wall. And Masson and Bowles and Clement there, who really clobbers them too. Not sure if they're undecided as to what to do or just trying to fool everybody. It comes to Bowles. Oh, and he hit the crossbar. Well, all that talk that went on before that free kick may well have been to confuse the opposition. The short ball from Masson, and Bowles caught it well left-footed. Day was lost, and the crossbar saved him. Well, the referee decided that was a push by Taylor on Gibbons. And it's a free kick to Rangers. Don Masson will take it. Oh, and Day got it and lost it. And Gibbons has placed it in. And the goal stands. The referee looked at both his linesmen. Well, that was a soft one, if you like. Mervyn Day lost the ball. It looked as though he might find it again. And it dribbled through to Gibbons, who couldn't believe his luck, planted it home and put Rangers 1-0 into the lead. Brooking, Robson. He's given it to Bowles. Nice turn there by Bowles. Nice bit of jinking there. And again, trying to get a 1-2 going with Masson, but Tommy Taylor was there. That's why it's always worth paying money to watch Stan Bowles. Lampard's header. Pat Holland. Lock, challenged by Leach, and the ball runs loose now for David Thomas. Bowles, curling it, oh yes, no! Well, well, well. He found himself a half a yard and curled that in beautifully, Stan Bowles.
and it hit the inside of the post and somehow stayed out. Leach has come up into a strong attacking position on this near side, and it's aimed towards Mick Leach, going in there with a header! Good save by Day. Great free kick again by Gillard, and Leach timing that run and jump once again to perfection, and a good save by Day. Now it's with Bowles. Still with Bowles, right foot, and again Day saved, and that time he couldn't hold it, and Taylor had to play it back to him. Now Gibbons to Clement. Masson. Gibbons. Dave Thomas. Oh, it'll come for Leach, and it may come through for Thomas again. Oh, what a save! Well, Thomas can hardly believe it. That was beautiful play by Mervyn Day. Good play between Leach and Thomas. A blistering shot from close range by Dave Thomas on the turn. And a really strong reaction save from Day. Now it's Bowles. Thomas. Good cross again by him. Oh, and fisted away once more by Day. That coming off his defender, John McDowell, I think it was. As that cross swooped in, McDowell misdirected it, and Mervyn Day made another really brilliant save. Masson to Thomas as the game opens right up again. Leach up, Bowles up, and on this side of the field, Gibbons up. Onto the left foot, and a corner. Well, there were two or three things open to Dave Thomas there. He took it upon himself to try the shot. But the West Ham defender, well, the Rangers defenders then lining up to knock that one away. Everybody in the Rangers half of the field now, except Mervyn Day. And here's Trevor Brooking. West Ham with less than 10 minutes to draw level. Billy Jennings on the far side. Yes! Well, as that one came floating over, it seemed that he had no chance from that angle. But he hit it scorchingly into the roof of that Rangers net. Thomas letting it run. But finding Robson at him. Still Dave Thomas. Masson is up there, Gibbons is up, Hollins is coming up. There's Gibbons. Hollins. Tossed in again towards Don Masson. Here's Stan Bowles. Now, is that for Bowles? No, it's not, because Day was out at him like a tiger. And Locke was right in there too. Bowles just got that onto his right foot, and it looked for a moment as though it might work for Rangers. But both Locke and Day hurled himself at him. And there goes the final whistle. An honourable draw after a very skillful game. I think Rangers might feel that they had slightly the better of things, with more aggression and certainly better chances, but West Ham battled hard and kept at their job, and in the end were rewarded with that goal from Billy Jennings just 7 minutes from the end. And so we come to a final scoreline of a game that's been filled with skill. Queen's Park Rangers 1, West Ham United 1.
So another draw for Q.P.R. Bay was still an unbeaten start to the season. Man United's win at Stoke kept them top, and meant that they, along with Q.P.R. and West Ham, were the only three unbeaten sides in the First Division come the end of August. Leicester, Wolves, Sheffield United and Birmingham were all still looking for a first win of the season, but with 2 points for a win, the league was very tight at this very early stage of the season. Don Gibbons and Stan Bowles were the top goal scorers with 3 goals each, followed by Jerry Francis with 2 goals, in what had been a great start to the season for him individually, as Francis was named as the new England captain by manager Don Revie. A great honour, and he remains the only Q.P.R. player in our history to become England captain.
Yeah, I think that outside of the England manager, I would say, particularly now as media attention, I think it was just starting to get really heavy in the end of the 60s into the 70s. And I think, other than the England manager's job, I would say that's the biggest pressure issue that's being captain. It depends how it's going. If things are going well, it's not so bad, and if things are not going so well, you're going through not a very good sort of patch the side, the international side, it can be a major burden. And we had some good times, and we had some not so good times at the time.
So a good first month of the season, and there was still loads to come. So after an unbeaten start to the season in August, September began with a trip to Birmingham, who were without a win so far, taking just 1 point from the opening 5 games. Dave Sexton had to make 2 changes to the side that had played so well in the draw with West Ham. Dave Webb returned to the team in place of Ian Gillard, whilst John Hollins came in for the injured Jerry Francis. It was Birmingham who opened the scoring though through Howard Kendall, and it was the first time that Q.P.R had been behind in a game all season. Rangers had a real battle on their hands, but Dave Thomas cut inside in the 74th minute before firing past the keeper to equalise and earn Rangers a point. That draw saw us drop to 4th place in the table, as wins for Man United, West Ham and Leeds saw them sit above us in the table. Liverpool's narrow win over Sheffield United saw them draw level with QPR on 8 points, but QPR were above them on goal average. Now, clubs on the same number of points were separated according to goal average that season. Now, that was goals scored divided by goals conceded. That system sort of favoured the teams who had scored fewer goals, and it was replaced the following season, but it was what we had that year. Next up for QPR was a break from the league with the second round of the League Cup and a genuine chance to challenge for some silverware for Dave Sexton's team. We faced Shrewsbury away, who were coming off the back of being promoted from the 4th Division. Rangers put a strong side out, with Frank McClintock and Jerry Francis returning from injury, but we fell behind in the 7th minute when Chick Bates set up a potential upset. Rangers proved to be too strong for them though, equalising through Dave Webb in the second half before late goals from Masson, Thomas and Mick Leach saw us win 4-1, which was a little bit flattering towards Rangers, but it set us up for a place in the 3rd round. It was the top of the table clash next as former QPR manager Tommy Docherty brought his Manchester United team to Loftus Road. Now, Docherty had helped rebuild United after their shock relegation in 1974, and he had a new young team with the likes of Steve Coppell, Lou Macari and Sammy McElroy. They were unbeaten and top of the league, so it was a great test for both sides, with the big match cameras in town.
So these are the men then who face a stern test against Queen's Park Rangers today. Queen's Park Rangers against Manchester United. It really has a ring about it, and let's first of all sort out the 2 teams for the game. Rangers, in fact, will field the side that won in the League Cup at Shrewsbury in midweek. And that means that you can see Mickey Leach keeping the number 4 shirt and leaving Johnny Hollins as a substitute. As for Manchester United, they've had a late shock. Brian Greenough is unfit, so Tommy Docherty plunges another of his youngsters, 18-year-old Scottish boy Arthur Albiston, into the defence for this first game of the season.
A little lucky with that one, he was a bit slow to get to it. And now Thomas. The red shirts are swarming back, 2, 4, 6, 7 of them in defence. Jerry Francis there winning it in the air, and Houston under trouble as Leach went in, and a corner to QPR. Gillard going right up on the goal line. It's already taken though as Bowles turns it in. Gillard with a header against the crossbar. Yes! It's David Webb. Well, the corner was quickly taken. It caught Manchester United out. Gillard managed to flick it on from the near post, and David Webb finished it off with a header. Jackson. Well, he's given that to Thomas. What can Thomas do about it? Well, his pace carried him past the youngster there. There's the cross going in for Gibbons. Oh, my goodness. Superb play by Rangers, capitalising on the undoubted pace of Thomas. And then as the ball came in, the sweeping skills of Don Givens just a fraction too high. Good challenge by Gillard. Now Thomas. Good ball by Thomas, and a good piece of running by Stan Bowles too. Turn to the near post. Oh, and a great save there by Stepney. But above everything else, another brilliant Rangers move. Bowles and Gibbons combining so well. And Gibbons just failing to turn it in. Stepney doing supremely well for Manchester United. McClintock. Francis. So often, though, when the crowd baits Stan Bowles, it's Stan Bowles who has the last laugh. Francis. And Francis going on to take that one from Leach. The feet were high there. My goodness, those Manchester United feet were high on Jerry Francis. I don't think they've paid to get in. Massa with the free kick for Rangers. Deep towards Mickey Leach. Thomas will hope to get on this as well. He's taken down and a penalty given. A foul by Buchan, a penalty to Rangers, and this is the moment for Bowles. I would have thought, and I wonder whether they'll give it to Bowles. No doubt that when Buchan challenged Dave Thomas, that the referee had no alternative to give the penalty, and Bowles now, with the chance to put Queen's Park Rangers 2-0 into the lead, and to silence those Manchester United fans who baited him for so long in the first half. Now, Stan Bowles, the responsibility on his shoulders against Alex Stepney, and Stepney has saved it the first time, and he saved it the second time, and they're getting it away now. Manchester United, no, a free kick given, but the penalty has been missed by Stan Bowles. And I wonder when the last time was that Bowles, who is so good and so cool with penalties, could have missed one. But Stepney dives smartly to his right there, and Bowles was denied to Koppel, and now to McElroy. Now Don Gibbons, he's all right, he's onside. All he's got to do is to find the angle, and he's put it wide. Well, that was a remarkable miss there by Don Gibbons, because he seemed to have done everything right. And he found a yard and screwed it just wide, when in fact he got both Bowles and Thomas outside him unmarked.
So a great win for QPR as we moved up to third place. Man United stayed top on goal average after West Ham could only draw at Leicester, while Spurs defeated Derby put them in the bottom three. Goalscorer Dave Webb spoke to the big match to describe his winning goal.
Well, I was a bit fortunate in as much that they took the corner a bit quickly, and I think Stuart Pearson dwelt a little bit as I was getting to the edge of the box, and he allowed me to get behind him. And as the ball, Ian Gill had done fantastic get up heading it, and hit it against the crossbar.
In fact, we see you arriving fairly late on the scene there at the bottom of the picture now.
That's correct. I think if you see he looks at me there, then he turns away, and then starts to watch the ball. Therefore gave me just a little bit of a chance to get behind him. And as in it hits the crossbar, and it allows me just where I like to be with my head.
The game had also seen Stan Bowles miss a penalty, and the big match had a unique interview with Bowles and United keeper Alex Stepney.
Well, you know, I'd made up my mind where to put it straight away, and fortunately for Alex, you know, he went the right way.
Do you think he moved?
Well, I've got to say he moved, don't I?
What about it, Alec? Had you made up your mind to go that way before?
Yes, I did, yeah. I'd like to know what Stan was saying to me before he took the kick. That was the main thing.
What were you saying to him before you took the kick?
Well, Alec had been playing so well, I said, you'll probably go and save this one as well, and he did.
I don't believe that.
It was a little fruitier than that, was it?
I think it was, yeah.
Our next game was away at Middlesbrough, who had won all 3 games at home so far without conceding a goal, but sat in 15th place after losing 3 times on the road. An unchanged QPR side had a real bruising encounter that day. Don Gibbons was carried off 5 minutes into the second half with a bruised thigh, whilst Frank McClintock also suffered an injury, but due to only having one sub, he played on to avoid us having to be down to 10 men. Middlesbrough had Graham Souness in midfield, and he was taking no prisoners, with some, shall we say, robust tackles early on. But not wanting to be bullied, Rangers reacted, with Dave Webb and Frank McClintock grabbing Souness by the neck, which seemed to quieten Souness down a little bit. Considering those injuries, it was a good, hard-fought point in the end for QPR, as we drew 0-0, with Phil Parkes impressing in the Rangers' goal. We remained third in the table, 2 points behind Man United and West Ham, who had both won, West Ham beating bottom side Sheffield United 2-0. But it was still very close at this early stage, with just 3 points separating the top of the table down to 7th place. It was back to Loftus Road next for a midweek game against the Leicester side still without a win. Givens and McClintock recovered from injury to both start the game in another close encounter. We won the game 1-0 thanks to a Mick Leach goal, but only after a fine goalkeeping performance from Mark Wallington kept the score down, with Q.P.R creating tons of chances. We had to endure a nervy end to the game, but we held on to move into second place, level on points with Man United, who had lost away at Derby. West Ham and Liverpool didn't play due to playing in Europe that season, so they both had a game in hand over Rangers. Saturday the 27th September saw the first Manchester derby since Dennis Law's goal for City had relegated Man United.
And is it going to be an own goal? Yes, it is, by Nickel. Makari to McElroy. Pearson in a good position, taken away from him, but a shot by McCreary is in! This is their fourth corner. City yet to have one at all. And that's in! Lou Makari, I think, got the final touch. Here comes the corner from Stewart. Doyle! Royal! 2-2!
A win for Q.P.R at home to Newcastle would put us top of the table. Newcastle had goal-scoring machine Malcolm McDonald back from injury as he looked to help his side to a big win. It was another really tight game. Rangers played some lovely stuff with Don Masson orchestrating things in midfield. The winning goal came when Bowles released Dave Clement down the right and his pass forward found Mick Leach, who burst into the box to finish it off with his 4th goal of the season. It finished 1-0 and Rangers were top of the table on goal average, above West Ham who had won at Wolves the same day. Man United, Leeds, Derby and Middlesbrough were all close behind in what was a really open title race at that early stage. So with Rangers still unbeaten, it was a trip to 5th place Leeds United next in front of the Match of the Day cameras, with Mick Leach missing out for injury and he was replaced by John Hollins.
Francis had plenty of room, and is it a penalty? Yes, brought down by Madeley. So Stan Bowles against David Harvey. Bowles makes it look easy. McClintock knows better than anybody what a bad mistake that was. Yorith again. Clark's flick just hit Webb. Here's Lorimer! A Lorimer special!
So a first defeat of the season then for Dave Sexton's side, as Man United returned to the top of the table, despite only drawing 0-0 with Leicester. Leeds were only a point behind now, though, and like West Ham, they had a game in hand on Rangers. It was back to the League Cup next, and a home game against 3rd Division Charlton. Rangers were well below their best, with Charlton having the better of the game, and they went ahead after half an hour thanks to a goal from Colin Powell. Rangers rallied a bit in the second half, with Stan Bowles equalising with a rare headed goal before he hit the bar from a free kick. The game finished as a draw though, and they set up a replay at the Valley a week later. It was back to the league next though, and Everton were next to Loftus Road, knowing a win would put them level on points with Rangers, but Dave Sexton's side were not messing about.
Givens, a beautiful finish from Don Givens to put Rangers ahead. Last free kick. Flicked into the area, Francis goes up, Bowles Balls to Thomas. Masson. Don Masson's first league goal of the season is a spectacular strike. And Rangers have two. Away goes Francis, the Rangers captain. He's rounded the keeper. Jerry Francis. It's his first goal since August the 19th. But when he scores, it's always spectacular. Thomas is free. Dave Thomas. He's got it past Davies. And Queen's Park Rangers have four. Gibbons congratulates him. And he really took this one like a first-rate striker. Great goal for Rangers. The Everton defence have had a torrid time here at the Bush today. Lovely ball from Bowles. Out to Francis. Cuts inside the Rangers captain. Little flick on from Masson. Here's Jerry Francis. It's 5. A sublime finish from the England captain. Bowles found him out on the wing. Nothing looked on. And then a little change of pace. Cutting inside, on the left, on the right. And it's this beautiful touch from Masson, right into his path. And an absolutely exquisite finish gives Rangers 5. It's a rout.
An emphatic 5-0 win put us back to the top of the table, level on points with both Man United and West Ham. Liverpool's win at home to Birmingham put them in 4th place, just 2 points behind Q.P.R. The goals continued to flow after that 5-0 win in the League Cup replay at Charlton, who started the game really well in what was proven to be a tricky night for Rangers. But Dave Thomas opened the scoring from distance before Don Masson made it 2, and Stan Bowles added a third, dribbling past 2 desperate challenges before finishing it off with a lovely finish. We travelled to Turf Moor next to face Dave Thomas' former side Burnley, who was sat in the bottom half of the table, following a disappointing start to the season. Frank McClintock missed out on this one, with John Hollins coming back into the side. Rangers dominated the game, but we just couldn't find a way past goalkeeper Alan Stevenson. Masson, Gibbons and Clement all went close before Francis and Bowles both missed chances to put us in the lead. It was turning into a really frustrating day, with Rangers looking like they'd have to settle for a point, before Frank Casper scored in the 87th minute to give Burnley the win. That defeat saw us drop down to 2nd place, with Man United winning at home to Arsenal, although West Ham's defeat at Middlesbrough meant we stayed above them. If that game was one that Rangers lost but should have won, the opposite was true when bottom of the table Sheffield United came to Loftus Road a week later. The Blades came to defend, and did so really well, keeping us out, and they had chances themselves, with Phil Parkes making a fine save to keep out Dearden after good work by Tony Curry. Rangers needed a goal desperately, and it came as Stan Bowles sent Francis through, and he pulled it back for Don Gibbons to head home from close range with what proved to be the winning goal. On that same day, Rangers' closest rivals met, with West Ham taking on Manchester United.
White shirts are in there in force now. 2, 4, 6, 7 of them inside that West Ham penalty area. As the free kick comes over, Houston is there with a header.
Oh, and it's there! Scored by Macquarie.
Now Patton for West Ham. There's the cross coming in. And goal! Yes! Bobby goal! 2-1.
So a win for West Ham ensured the top 3 all had the same number of points, but Q.P.R were back to the top of the table on goal average. Derby were 4th, just a point behind, whilst Liverpool, Leeds and Everton were just 2 points behind, and 8th place Middlesbrough just 3 points behind. It was a very tight and exciting league, but as we approached November, Rangers were starting to feel confident that they could really challenge for the title. November began with Q.P.R sitting pretty at the top of the table, level on points with Man United and West Ham, but ahead of them on goal average. We'd scored 22 goals in just 14 games, with a team great to watch, playing fast, attacking football, playing out from the back with real flair and attack.
We played some unbelievably good football here. I think it was the best football team that I had ever played for, even though we won the double at Arsenal.
I very rarely kicked the ball long in those days, in that season, because we would do a rotation system. Dave Clement would go forward, Brad McClintock would pull out, Don Masson would come back into there, and then all of a sudden you got this movement that happened all at once, and then the forward didn't know where to go. So whichever, I could try to Dave, I could just knock it out, from a goal kick or whatever, or out my hands, to roll it to Frank, and then he would get to, and then they started little triangles, and only that was all what he was all about. Dave was trying to get those little passing movements all over the pitch, not just in certain areas. They started right from the back.
An unchanged Q.P.R side faced Coventry City next, who had won just one of their first 7 home games, but they would prove to be tricky opponents for Dave Sexton's team.
Mortimer to his right. Green goes on running. Fox came well. Masson. Thomas is all right. He's gone through for a goal here. Now, in fact, it's going to be Don Givens. Will walk one in. 1-0. A most remarkable whack back by Queen's Park Rangers. 4 minutes into the second half. Don Givens, this... How a goal-scoring week Don Givens has had. That's goal number 5 for him this week. The first one here today. That ball knocked out Thomas, ghosting through Coventry, who were looking for the offside. Linesman kept his flag down. Thomas went on alone. Might have tried one himself. Looks, sees Givens, feeds him a perfect scoring chance. Well, that's a slap in the eye for Coventry, and again, an indication that at home they really can't do anything. Mortimer. Cross. Coop. Brogan. Jimmy Holmes. Brogan to try it. Didn't get any beef on it. Hutchison. Jimmy Holmes. Oh, and that very nearly clipped in. The ball took a slight deflection after Holmes struck it, and Parks did very, very well indeed to guide it round the post. All Coventry get out of a corner, their third corner of the game. Looking for Lloyd's jump. And Hutchison, and it's knocked away. Tommy Hutchison, ball bouncing down to him, and Rangers defenders angry amongst themselves for making a right boo-boo of that situation. Cross getting a touch on for Green. He now attacks Webb. Mortimer. Cross! Oh, he did that beautifully! A goal of sheer perfection! 1-1, 14 minutes into the second half. As good a goal as Dave Cross will score at any time in his life. Entitled to look happy about that one. The attack, which he initiated with his header down the right side. Finally the ball struck back to him. He turned, struck it in one beautiful movement, and Parks had no chance. Gillard back for McClintock. Coop has done it wrong, and that was very nearly a goal for Dave Webb. Bowles, far post. Gibbons. Bit of a let-off then for Coventry. Thomas with a lot of space in front of him to attack. Gibbons, tempting Powell for Francis now. The 1-2 work for Francis! Well, one feels that Francis might have done better with that free gift that finally came to him.
So a 1-1 draw meant we dropped down to third place, with West Ham and Man United both winning to go above us in the table. It was a London derby next, against a struggling Tottenham at Loftus Road.
Played again towards Givens.
Obviously Tottenham very aware of the problems that Givens can cause in the air, but Willie Young is stuck pretty close to him, but now Givens with a shot. Oh, and what a good one there. A really excellent save there by Pat Jennings. Willie Young had lost Givens for a moment, and Givens almost took full advantage of it. The ball moving quite a bit in the air, and Jennings doing exceptionally well once again to save. Hasn't really used his pace so far this afternoon. Now maybe he'll do it against Naylor. No. But that's a good pass to Dave Clement. The cross coming in again, and over the top there from Jerry Francis. There he goes again, there's Givens, and Young right behind him. Masson turning that in. Again, Leach was coming up fast in a blind position. Gillard. Now Pratt. And Chris Jones onside. Now, can Chris Jones make something of this? McClintock's after him. Brilliant defence by McClintock. Well, he showed he'd got a fair bit of football left in him. Frank McClintock. He caught Jones and tackled superbly to take that ball. McAllister. Masson. Bowles playing it on for Don Givens. Oh, and he hit the top of the crossbar. Well, Jennings would have had no chance with that. Givens, a superb piece of skill as that ball is played on for him. Hit it first time, a sharp angle, right-footed, but with tremendous power against the top of the crossbar. Bowles trying to get the better of Young, and Young sticking well to him. Helped by Naylor. Oh, and Bowles retaliating badly there on Willie Young. The linesman quickly there to intervene. The referee arriving now, and Willie Young saying that he was kicked by Stan Bowles. And Bowles' frustration showing there. And the referee and the linesman are now getting together to talk it over. I think the referee is not looking at the free kick position. I think he wants to have a word with Stan Bowles. Now, I can't think what's happening here, but yes, he's calling Stan Bowles and Willie Young over to him. And he's given him a good bit of Yorkshire. Harold Hackney, who comes from Barnsley. Well, thank goodness it ended that way. It could have been much worse. Now, Francis again taking it from Clement. Free kick, booking, and Jerry Francis angry with the way that he was dealt with, but the referee was all reaching in his book. And Willie Young's name will go into the referee's book for that foul on Jerry Francis. That's the foul. McAllister lost that to Bowles. A bad place to lose the ball, especially to a player like Bowles, and he gave Bowles a nudge there. And it's still, oh my goodness, that was nearly the craziest goal of the season there, as that ricochet came off a Rangers, off a Spurs player. Now they've got to come back, because Thomas is on his way. And Coates was after him, still with Thomas, and he's gone past McAllister too. No, he didn't, but he got a corner for Rangers as we come to the last minute of the game. So if it's going to happen for Rangers, it's got to happen now. Thomas with the corner. Everybody back for Tottenham, and nearly everybody up for Q.P.R. Dave Clement there. Oh, and it went! Finally off the head of Jerry Francis, somehow into the arms of Pat Jennings.
So a second draw in a row, and we had a break from the league then with a fourth round League Cup game against Newcastle on Loftus Road, who we'd beaten earlier in the season. Rangers took the lead in the 9th minute when the long goal kick from Phil Parkes was flicked on by Don Givens, and Mick Leach lobbed the keeper to make it 1-0. Newcastle, though, were quickly level, with Mickey Burns equalising with a header past Phil Parkes. And then we quickly went behind, when Malcolm MacDonald fired home with a left-footed shot. Jeff Nolte then made it 3-1 before half-time, so Rangers had a mountain to climb. But in the second half, Rangers fought back with Stan Bowles in fine form, but his teammates were not quite on the same wavelength, and we missed multiple chances to get us back in the game. It ended up finishing 3-1, and we were out of the League Cup. Newcastle were going to reach the final that year, and it was a real blow to Rangers, who felt they had a good chance of lifting a trophy. To make matters worse, Stan Bowles limped off with a late injury, which would rule him out of the England squad for a European Championship qualifier against Portugal. Jerry Francis captained the national side for the third time in a 1-1 draw, with Q.P.R winger Dave Thomas an unused sub for England. Bowles' injury would rule him out of our next league game away at Ipswich Town, with John Hollins replacing him in the famous number 10 shirt.
Mills over the head. Oh, a great effort. What tremendous quick thinking by Mick Mills. Johnson with Webb. Now Wymark. He's behind McClintock. Oh, look, fine effort. And that was the heading ability of Johnson and the superior pace of Trevor Wymark. Masson gets it, but Mills doesn't realise where it is. Now he does. Johnson, Woods out here. No panic there from Johnson. Mills has gone on the left. This is Johnson again. Through the legs of Francis. Beattie pushing it around fast. Mills. Ball. The flag is up. That's in the area. If that's handball, that is in the area. I'll put my wages on it, which is about £3.10, but it's still, I think, inside the area, but he's given it out. If it was handball, Don Masson doesn't think so. Anyhow, here's Mills with a kick. That's the way to knock him in. And that's what you call coming up in support. Jump penalty as Mills took the kick. It was still making his way up. It was headed out, but penalties coming in at a rate of knots. Bang! And Parks, with all those players in front of him, never had. Clement to Francis. Woods a little bit late on that challenge. Francis, a bad ball from Clement. Francis had turned his back now, Wymark going at his man. Woods, Burley on the right, butts away from Francis. Can't get by Webb though. Mills, good play to Beattie. Mills again, working well for each other, trying to drag Rangers out of position. Woods, bit of space, Burley out here with even more. Well, sympathy for him, particularly as he's now got to get back as Thomas runs at Wymark. And still Burley isn't all the way back, but it's Wymark in the right back position. Masson, Beattie's there with Leach. Masson's still there. Givens out on the right. Oh, now Givens is in an excellent position. It's a great effort. That's a first-class goal from Don Givens. Well, as the ball was pushed over from the left, Masson had time, apart from a couple of nudges, to get it out to Givens, waiting out there, wide on the right, jinking inside a player, and then with the left foot, wide of Cooper, for an excellent goal.
So a third draw in a row saw us drop down to 4th place, as league leaders West Ham took on 2nd place Derby.
It's Alan Taylor. Good pass to Rioch. I enjoyed that. Lee and Rioch. Yes! Oh, that took such a long time. And Bruce Rioch stands and takes his applause as he breaks that long, long sequence. Matt Holland to pick up Brookie. Oh, what a nice bit of work. What a good goal. What a good goal. That wasn't even an opportunity of saying what a good shot. That was a goal from the time it left Brooking's feet. 42 minutes and it's 1-1, and I don't think you'll see many goals better than that one. Certainly not without cameras right smack behind it. Now Hector. Going against Lampard, trying to commit him. chip from Charlie George to score the second goal for Derby. Oh, that was so neatly done. Beautiful little goal.
So that win for Derby put them top of the table, with West Ham dropping down to 5th. Man United and Liverpool sat a point above QPR in what was becoming a really close title race. We had a chance to get back to the top of the table when Burnley came to Loftus Road, just a few weeks after we'd lost to them at Turf Moor. Stan Bowles was back from injury, and he was the star man again. In Francis Peacock's excellent The Road to 76 book, he tells the story of an incident that occurred on this day. With a score at 0-0, as the players sat in the dressing room, Stan made his way to the club secretary Ron Phillips' office, where he asked for a sub on his match bonus. Ron Phillips replied, "We haven't even won yet," but Stan said, "Don't worry, Mr. Phillips, I'll win it for you." Stan was as good as his word, scoring the only goal of the game in the second half to make it 5 league games unbeaten and move QPR back up to second place, win bonus safely in pocket. We were just a point behind leaders Derby and moved above Liverpool and Man United, who both dropped points that weekend. Next up was Stoke City at home, who had quietly moved up to 7th place in the table, just 2 points behind QPR. They had the best away record in the division, which helped make this a far tougher game than many expected it to be. Dave Sexton was without the injured Don Givens and Jerry Francis, as John Beck and John Hollins came in to replace them.
Almost came to Masson, it will now. Oh, good effort and a good goal. Don Masson, the scorer. Back by Pajic for Robertson. That's a good cross. Moores is there, and that's in. Tremendous start to the second half for Stoke, with Rangers barely getting a touch. Blore waiting, and outside him there's Moores. They're both coming in now. Park's out, and not making it. Blore. The second time that Alan Blore has cashed in on an error by Phil Parks. In the first half he missed, but now he didn't. Well laid off by young Nutt. That's Masson out to Thomas. Bowles in the middle, and Hollins. And Clement at the far post. There's Clement. He's got it. This is Bowles. Hazelgrave goes hurtling in, taking Bowles with him. Young supporter decided to get on with things and place the ball for the free kick. And it could be the last chance to win it. Webb! Webb! Yes! Yes, he's got it! What a finish! David Webb! Oh, sheer delight for Rangers!
A great win in the end, as we showed unbelievable spirit to keep us in second place, just behind Derby, who stayed top after a 3-2 win over Middlesbrough. Wins for West Ham, Leeds and Man United meant there was just 3 points separating the top 6. Now, December started with some fresh off-field issues, as Stan Bowles was said to not be in the right frame of mind to face his former side, Man City, so he missed the trip north with Mick Leach returning to the side. Bowles was dropped to the reserves by Dave Sexton. Rangers were known for their exciting attacking football, but it was built on a solid defence, with Dave Clement, Ian Gillard, Dave Webb and Frank McClintock one of the best defences in the division, with the great Phil Parks in goal. Man City couldn't find a way past them, as we got a 10th clean sheet of the season in a hard-fought 0-0 draw. The draw took us back to the top of the table on goal average, as Derby lost at Birmingham, whilst Man United, West Ham and Liverpool all dropped points. This would set up a real top-of-the-table clash, with second-place Derby coming to Loftus Road. Stan Bowles was again missing after Dave Sexton left him out after their latest dispute, so we were unchanged for a big game, which saw 17-year-old Phil Nutt on the substitute bench.
So the noise swells as the clash between the top two gets underway. Queen's Park Rangers attacking the goal to our left in those familiar blue and white hoops. Derby County today in a change strip of yellow shirts with blue shorts. Leighton James with a touch to Charlie George.
Archie Gemmell, Francis Lee, Colin Todd joining up there, Bruce Rioch. Derby, who were beaten 4-1 in the league here last season, and Rangers have already beaten them 5-1 at the baseball ground. Here's Rioch, cut out nicely though for Rangers by McClintock, but a shot by Henry Newton, wide and high, and a goal kick to Rangers. But here's Clement. Givens, a little too high even for him. Now Givens might get this one on Francis. And now Rioch. Archie Gemmell. Played on for Rioch. Lee, back for Rioch again, and hit too firmly towards Lee. No chance of him controlling that. Nice little bit of play there between Givens and Francis. But there's the formidable barrier of Colin Todd. Quite unshakable. Clintock. Thomas there first. Played for Hollins. Clement making a run down the right for him. That's the ball hit towards Dave Thomas and hit well for him. Rod Thomas is marking him, and here's Gillard playing in the early ball to Leach. And Todd again getting that one away, and Rod Thomas in the end content to put it behind for a Q.P.R. corner. So David Webb up again. And Dave Thomas with the corner. Hit deep. Well, no, there was some pushing. Ball came over, the forwards got up, it ended in the back of the net, but Alf Gray had no doubt there was some pushing there, and it's a free kick. Masson. Here's Leach. Left for Francis. And now Dave Thomas, facing Rod Thomas. A long shot! My goodness, that was swerving all over the place, and Bolton had to make sure he got behind that one. Taken more than 25, 28 yards there by Dave Thomas, moving a lot in the air, and Bolton got well behind it in the end. It's Jerry Francis on the ball now for Rangers. Givens playing it back for him. He's got Gillard wide. Here's Gillard. Cross hit fairly low, and it might come in again. McFarlane is there and has half lost it. Givens with a shot, and that was beautifully saved by Bolton. Just a half mistake in that Derby defence, and Givens was on it with a good shot on the turn. Well saved by Colin Bolton. Phil Nutt, the 17-year-old, is going to come on, which means that Don Masson not fit to come back. So Phil Nutt is on. Dave Clement. Jerry Francis, Clement again. Thomas. Again, a long-range shot, and you could see by the way that Bolton was positioning himself behind that, it was moving a fair bit in the air. Again from some 25 yards, Thomas letting that one go. Clement, Francis, Leach has gone on ahead, Nutt, Clement again, that's aimed towards Mick Leach and Dave Thomas on the other side. Here's Thomas. Shot well, oh, and he hit the crossbar. He couldn't have been unluckier if he tried. Found a beautiful yard of space on that right on that right foot, hit it powerfully, beat Colin Bolton all ends up, and hit the crossbar. Givens. Free kick. Again Rioch is the guilty man, and the free kick already taken. Hollins floating a good one in there towards Nutt. Yes! Phil Nutt has done it! The 17-year-old has broken the deadlock as Hollins floated that ball into the centre. He escaped for a moment, and his header was wide of Bolton, and that could be a decisive goal. And there's the free kick floating in there. Charlie George right in. Parks didn't get his fist to it. If anything, he got his fist to one of his teammates, Jerry Francis. So Rangers still under pressure. Henry Newton with the shot, and it's well wide. Goal kick to Q.P.R Rangers. The atmosphere absolutely tremendous here now. And there's the hero. The cheers are so much for this 17-year-old lad. Clintock, this time that header completely. Here's Charlie George, a touch for Leighton James. Todd, cut out again by Jerry Francis that time. Here's Gemmell now. A well-hit shot that needed to be pushed over. Phil Parks had a good sight of it. Nobody really in his way as Gemmell struck it. Turned it over well. Givens, another jump, but he was out-jumped that time by Roy McFarlane. Henry Newton. McFarlane. Robbed by Nutt. Gemmell. Played for Rioch. More passion about this game now than there's been all afternoon. James to Nish. McClintock behind that one. Now Rioch. Oh, there's a good ball by Rioch, and there's a chance for Leighton James. Turned in again there for Charlie George, and he's missed the chance, has he? No, he's put in there by Rioch. Well, it looked for a long time as though Charlie George had a chance after Leighton James had turned it in, that Charlie George had a chance. It looked as though he'd lost it. In the end, the ball found its way to the number 4, Bruce Rioch, and he has scored the equaliser. Q.P.R Rangers 1, Derby County 1. Bruce Rioch the scorer.
Well, I still can't really believe it, you know. I don't know, it's something that you hope for, but I think I was a bit lucky, you know, because Don Givens made the way for me, and I just drifted in there and I just headed it, and it just went in the near post.
And then what happened?
Well, I was in a daze. I just, you know, turned around. At first, I thought Colin Bolton was going to save it, but then it just bounced and it went over his hand and it went in. I just turned around.
There were about, I think, about 10 blue and white hooped shirts just about diving on you at that point, weren't they?
That was when I just realised it was true. Yeah, it's just something to dream of, really.
What did Dave Sexton say to you afterwards?
Well, I walked in and said congratulations, like, on the first goal. So he was very pleased with me. Yeah. So no, I thought that was good.
I think he was very pleased with your performance throughout that second half as a whole. I mean, you seem to have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, well, when I played against Stoke, when I come against Stoke, that helped me. Now, that broke the ice, and when I come, I was obviously nervous, but I felt a bit more confident. And once you touch the ball once or twice, you know, you get your confidence up anyway.
And you're 17?
Yeah, that's
when are you 18?
Next May.
Were any of your family here to watch this great day today?
Well, I think it was my dad definitely came, but I wasn't sure if my brother or my friend came.
Where are you from, in fact, Phil?
Pimlico, inside Victoria.
Yeah, and how long have you been at Q.P.R?
This is my second year. I joined when I was a schoolboy.
And you're settling in well?
Oh yeah, I'm really enjoying it down here, you know, especially last year, and I'm pleased with this year as well.
Can you ever imagine a moment to equal that one?
No, I don't think so. not at the moment, anyway.
You think you might be reading a few papers tomorrow morning?
Well, I hope so, yeah.
A point gained or a point lost. You could make a case for both, really, And questions could be asked, would we have won that game if Stan Bowles, who had scored a hat-trick in the reverse fixture, had been available? But again, we showed great character to get a point, and we were now 8 games unbeaten. The feeling was, though, that we were drawing too many games. We stayed top, though, level on points with Liverpool, Derby and Man United, whilst West Ham, Man City and Leeds were just 2 points behind to make up the top 7. As Christmas approached, we faced a key game away at Liverpool, with the press calling it a title decider. Stan Bowles was back in place of Mick Leach, as manager Dave Sexton was saying we'd be going all out for the win rather than playing for a draw.
Now Cormac with Tommy Smith outside if he wants him. Toshak coming in. Liverpool's top scorer strikes again. They can't stop Toshak this season. This is Francis. Thomas. Oh, well played by Smith to Highway. Toshak the only other player up and he's way over on the left. Still Highway. Oh, Thomas. It's a goal by Thomas. Penalty. David Thomas hangs his head because with that challenge he may have sealed the match for Liverpool. So Phil Neal and Phil Parks, the goalkeeper, being spoken to there by Clement, who may have some idea about where Phil Neal might place his kick. Phil Neal, who scored from the spot twice against Arsenal recently. But this is a very, very vital kick. 2-0, and that might be a very important penalty by the end of the season. No wonder Phil Neal looks delighted, and so do the Kop.
A disappointing defeat then. Rangers had really taken the game to Liverpool in what was a real end-to-end game, but we were wide open to the counter-attack, with Liverpool proving too strong for us at Fortress Anfield. That result put Liverpool top for the first time all season, and meant they would be top at Christmas. Wins for Man United and Derby meant we dropped down to 4th place, level on points with Leeds and West Ham, making it a frustrating Christmas in West London. Norwich City were the visitors on Boxing Day. And it was a nice Christmas present for Q.P.R fans as we put that defeat behind us to win 2-0 thanks to goals from Don Masson and Stan Bowles, moving us back up to 3rd place. Liverpool dropped points at Stoke, which ensured the table was extremely tight. They sat level with Man United, a point above Q.P.R, Leeds and Derby. We ended 1975 with a London derby, travelling to North London to face a struggling Arsenal side.
Floated towards the far post, Rimmer underneath it, and so too was Webb. Francis. Goal kick. Brady, a rather story. Down again towards Kidd. And Masson letting that run to Francis. Here's Dave Clement. Ball, a nice little flick there by Alan Ball. Beautifully played there for Brady. Armstrong going hard into the box. Brady shot, oh, and a great save. I think people may have been expecting Brady to curl that one into where Armstrong was running in the far post. But he let fly, and Parks made a superb save. The referee quietly went across and had a word with Sammy Nelson about that without making any fuss about it. There's Nelson again. Giving the ball away this time to Francis. Brady really tackling back hard, and Brady having a good game for Arsenal. Here's Story, and now here's Brady again. That's a lovely ball again for him, for George Armstrong. Crossing once more towards Stapleton, and Ball will hope to get in there, and somehow Park saved it again. Great ball by Brady. Good cross there by Armstrong. Stapleton up well, and Ball almost able to force it in before Parks had the last word. So another corner for Arsenal. Again, just giving Armstrong an extra yard to try and get that ball in.
Oh, and another great save by Parks, this time from O'Leary. Well, the young centre-half caught that beautifully. It came through a crowd of players. Parks couldn't possibly have seen that to the last possible split second, but still reacted quickly enough to get it away. Another corner for Arsenal. And Parks, the man they've got to beat. Armstrong with this corner again, floating it in, and this time the fist of Parks gets it away. Bowles, played to Givens. What a good ball there by Givens. We're seeing some beautiful crossfield balls today. That one to Thomas. And look who was right back there to get his oar in for Arsenal, the little number 7, George Armstrong. Leary. Arsenal's throw. Brady. Webb turning it skillfully wide there for Hollins. Bowles. Brady on for ball. Nelson's gone up too. Here's Nelson. Kids outside him and Stapleton's through the middle. And again that man Parks has stopped him. There really seems to be no beating of Phil Parks this afternoon. That was a lovely Arsenal move, half the length of the field, leaving Stapleton with a chance to go through the gap, hit his drive perfectly, and Parks was equal to it again. Kick. Almost flicked that through for Brady, and it hasn't gone yet for Arsenal as it comes to Alan Ball. Now maybe for Stapleton, and finally for Ball! Well, inside the first minute of the second half, Arsenal at last have found a way past Phil Parks, and it seemed that the ball would never go in. It was flicking around there for so long, and eventually it came to Alan Ball. And he lashed it in. Arsenal 1, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Alan Ball, the man who got it. And a man beaten at last, Phil Parks, who had no chance. Bowles, who took a knock in the first half, of course, and failing to make a contact there. And it's with Gillard. Played on for Bowles that time, and Gillard taking it up well. Now this time for Hollins. There's his shot, and well saved by Rimmer. Actually, Rimmer had made his angle well, but it was a good build-up there by Rangers. Hollins taking that pass well. Now Nelson. Cut out by Webb. Now Givens is after this one, and he might be in with a chance now, Givens. A little chip. Oh, and it was a fraction too high. Not out of play yet there, as Thomas can turn it back, which he does. Oh, and beautifully punched her almost away as Bowles got that header in, and Rimmer recovered remarkably quickly. Oh, when Thomas turned that back again, Bowles went flying in with the header. Rimmer punched it up in the air, and the defender helped him to get it away for this corner. Thomas with it towards the near post. That looked like handball by Givens, but obviously it couldn't have been. McClintock chasing back. Arsenal's throw. Sammy Nelson. Thomas. Givens. Rangers very subdued up front this afternoon. Nice dummy there by Francis, and now here's Bowles on for Francis. And over the back. quick thinking there by Francis, dummying around that ball, and Bowles playing it on for him to Francis to continue that run. Masson, Francis. A bit of play there by Francis. What a lovely piece of play by the England captain there. And a good save too, and it might come for Thomas. Driven and somehow deflected away. Oh, Rangers waking up a little bit now. And Bowles made a sign of the linesman. And for making a sign of the linesman, Stan Bowles, his name goes into the book. Will go down in the book as dissent. And the linesman also, of course, recording that incident. Too long there, here's ball. Sliding that into the path of Brian Kidd. Oh, and he went under Fox! Brian Kidd, the scorer. And you would not believe it, would you? The ups and downs of goalkeeping. The man who kept Rangers in the game with 3 or 4 magnificent saves in the first half. Conceded one about which he could do nothing, and then as the ball is played on to Brian Kidd from Alan Ball, Parks allowed the ball to go under his body, and that makes it Arsenal 2, Queen's Park Rangers 0, Brian Kidd the scorer. Poor old Phil Parks.
We really didn't click as a side at all yesterday.
Was that you were hustled out of it by Arsenal, or what?
I think so, yeah. We let them play a little bit, and they took it from there. Whereas normally we sort of do the same to Arsenal as they did to us. Yeah.
Which would you have regarded as your best save yesterday?
Perhaps that one there, because it did move in the air, and I was at one side of the goal and I had to get right across to the other side.
But I think the most spectacular from a lot of people, from the layman's point of view, if I can put it that way, is one you made from a close range from David O'Leary, following a corner coming up now. Tell us about this one, Phil.
Yes, well, the corner comes across there, they all jump and miss it. He controls it ever so well there, and sort of turns it on the volley. A really great shot, but really it's straight at me there. Although that was sort of in slow motion, it was, you know, came very quick. It's still more or less straight at you, and it's just a pure reflex save. You don't really know much about them. No.
We've got to come to that moment though now, haven't we? About 9 minutes from the end.
Yeah.
What on earth happened there?
I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I thought I had the ball at one stage, and I couldn't believe it when I hadn't got it.
Shall we have a look at it again?
Yeah, you're welcome, yeah.
In fact, it looked to me very much as though Frank McLintock may have got in your way a little bit.
Well, Frank was directly between the ball and myself. And
nice ball from Alan Ball there.
Yeah, yes, and Kiddy does well. Actually, I wasn't expecting him to shoot there. As you see, I'm not really ready until sort of there, and he hits it now, and he just goes past Frank's leg. I seem to see it a little bit late, and I don't know, Christ, I just went round all wrong. And, I couldn't believe it when it was in the back of the net. It actually hit me on the arm and bounced down behind me.
Yeah.
I don't think I've let one in for Queen's Park Rangers like that.
No.
For a long, long while anyway.
So a second defeat in 3 matches, and our hopes of the title seem to be slipping away after a disappointing couple of weeks. Liverpool ended the year top of the table, level with Man United. Leeds and Derby were just a point behind them, whilst Q.P.R were now 5th, 3 points behind the leaders. Our away form was proving to be our Achilles heel. We were unbeaten at home, but away from home we had just 1 win from 11 games, losing 4 of them. We were going to need to start winning on the road to stand any chance of qualifying for Europe, let alone winning the title. 1976 began with the 3rd round of the FA Cup, with Rangers hosting Newcastle at Loftus Road. We'd lost to them earlier in the season in the League Cup, but hopes were high that we could progress in this famous old competition. Mick Leach returned to replace John Hollins in midfield, and Rangers were frustrated by a strong defensive performance from Newcastle, as they defended deep and earned a 0-0 draw. The press were quite critical of Dave Sexton's side. Sam needed another forward, with Rangers scoring just 3 goals in 6 games, but Sexton remained convinced in his attacking options. The third round replay was played just a few days later, which Dave Thomas missed for injury, with John Hollins coming in to replace him.
Looks for Natras. And turned in. Alan Dowling has broken a sequence which has gone on, in fact, for so long. That's his first goal in 13 games. A mistake by Phil Parks. And in by Masson. John Masson, no more than a half chance, and that picture tells a story. Right hand distance on that header from Craig. Here's Clement. Craig again. McDonald in the chase with McClintock, who's matching him. They're queuing up in the middle now. And Burns! Oh! Turnbull with his hands, I think, and a penalty it is indeed. Burns denied. McDonald's cross. Burns with a good header. And the goalkeeper saved by David Webb. So Tommy Craig from the penalty spot. Cracking drive. Parks with no chance at all.
So Newcastle had knocked Q.P.R out of both cup competitions. A rare mistake by Phil Parks in that game, and Stan Bowles missing a penalty, leaving him dejected. Whilst the rest of the squad headed home by plane, Stan travelled back to London by train due to his fear of flying. Speaking to the Daily Mirror after the game, Bowles was not in a happy mood. He said, "Whatever happens now this season, I won't forget what happened to St James's Park. Their keeper moved before I took the penalty. But what hurt most was Malcolm McDonald's attitude. When Mick Mahoney saved the penalty, McDonald came up to me and took the mickey out of me. I told him to get lost, but in stronger language. I don't like him. He's got a big mouth." The two of them would famously meet again before the season ended. It was a tough match next away at Manchester United, who sat in second place, 3 points ahead of Rangers. On a blustery afternoon, Q.P.R was still without Dave Thomas, but took the lead after just 10 minutes, after Don Masson put Don Givens through, and the former Man United man found the back of the net with a powerful drive. Things then went wrong with Stan Bowles going off injured before United got level.
But here's Pearson. Hill! Brilliantly struck! And really, Phil Parks beaten just inside his right-hand post.
United built on that momentum of the equaliser, and they got the winner in the second half, with Sammy McIlroy scoring for the home side. So a 2-1 defeat, and for the first time all season, we had lost back-to-back games in the league. United went top of the table as Liverpool faced a tough game at home to Ipswich.
And Keegan blasts the shot, and it's in! David Johnson waiting for the throw. Good turn by Gates. And a head back and in by Wymark. It really was a beautiful cross. Neil, Callaghan, Smith. Keegan going in. Nothing wrong with that one. Burley
Chased by Keegan. Osborne now. It's Neil there with him. Still gets in his cross. Gates! Good goal! Bobby Robson's decision to bring Osborne and Gates into the side, amply fulfilled. With so much bunching at the top of the First Division, they can't afford to drop home points. Keegan. Case. Chance to shoot. And again! Burley to take the kick. Left by Beattie. Wymark is here. Well saved. And it's gone in. Wymark followed it in and makes it 3-all.
Q.P.R. was still in 5th place, but now 5 points behind. And our best hope for the season now looked to be to qualify for Europe via the league, as our away form was really letting us down. Now without a win on the road since August. It was back to Loftus Road next though, with Birmingham City, who were sat just outside the relegation zone, but not in bad form, losing just one of their last 4 league games. Q.P.R. had Dave Thomas back, but were without Jerry Francis through injury.
Collins is pushed wide, but he still gets the cross in, and the goalkeeper's missed it, but Masson hasn't, and Rangers take the lead. Great work from Hollins. Stan Bowles, a great little ball through to Hollins. He's turned again, and Masson! It's that combination again. Hollins with the cross, and Masson rose majestically above what was left of the Birmingham defence to put Queen's Park Rangers 2 goals into the lead. Oh, it's through to Trevor Francis. And Birmingham have pulled one back.
So a hard-fought win, and with Man United, Leeds and Liverpool all drawing, we cut the gap to 4 points, which, with just 2 points for a win, seemed a big gap even at that stage of the season. With Q.P.R. and West Ham both out of the FA Cup, the decision was made to move their fixture, originally scheduled for April the 26th, to January. Club Secretary Ron Phillips explained the decision, saying, "Our obvious intention is to steal a march on our Championship rivals by attempting to pocket a couple of league points, whilst others are distracted by FA Cup matters." Now, anyone watching this will know how the season eventually pans out, and how different would things have been if Q.P.R. had left the fixture where it was as a title decider in April. Well, we'll never know. But we went into this game without Jerry Francis, who was still injured, and after a row between Dave Sexton and Stan Bowles, our star man was again left out of the team following a transfer request. John Beck and Mick Leach came into the side, and on a mud bath of a pitch, Rangers struggled to impose themselves. Although we did have chances, but right on half-time, Trevor Brooking created a chance for Alan Taylor to open the scoring. It ended in a 1-0 defeat. 2 points dropped, and considering how close the league title would be, a rather disastrous decision for Q.P.R. to agree to move this fixture. We were now 4 points behind the league leaders, who all had games in hand over us. Our chances of the title were looking over. Little did anyone know, though, that Q.P.R. were about to begin a season-changing run. That began at the end of January with a trip to Aston Villa, who had lost just twice at home all season, whilst Q.P.R. was still without an away win since August. It seemed an inevitable home win, but Jerry Francis returned from injury playing up front, and Stan Bowles was left out again. It was going to be a tough, hard-fought afternoon. McClintock and John Hollins really stood out, showing their experience of a dogged performance at the back, and it was Hollins who opened the scoring on 76 minutes. Francis and Thomas played a 1-2 inside the box before hitting the post, and John Hollins followed it up to score his first Q.P.R. goal. Relief all round, and captain Jerry Francis completed the win, scoring the second goal in a valuable 2-0 win. Man United stayed top after a 3-1 win over Birmingham, with Liverpool thrashing West Ham 4-0. QPR and England captain Jerry Francis could sense that things were starting to turn in our favour, but he was desperate for his on-field relationship with Stan Bowles to be continued.
Well, we had a few little problems with that hiccup. I mean, I remember Dave had a few problems with Stan Bowles, and he left him out, and I played up front for a couple of games, and I think we won 2-0 at Villa. I scored, and you know, Dave was pleased with me playing there, but you know, I wanted Stan back, and you know, because we had this rapport, this understanding that you know, probably I never had with any other player. And obviously one of my biggest regrets was we both played for England, but we never played for England together, because what we did out there telepathically would certainly have helped us play for England. So I think we had these, as you say, these little periods which all teams go through, where for one reason or another it's not quite going right, and maybe you try and change the team a little bit. But you know, I was quite close to Dave, and obviously, you know, spoke to him a lot as captain, and you know, really felt that, you know, Stan playing up front was the catalyst of the team, made things happen, and I benefited from that as well, playing obviously deeper, which is where I like to play.
There was then a break from the league as we faced Red Star Belgrade in a testimonial match for Mick Leach, marking his 12 years at the club. It was a chance for Stan Bowles to get back in the team, and it was obvious straight away that he still had a lot to give. Bowles had a hand in the first 2 goals, as Don Masson gave QPR the lead before Francis added a second. Further goals from Dave Thomas and a second from the penalty spot for Francis capped an impressive night for Dave Sexton's side against a team full of international players who were on their winter break. It was perhaps an odd time to play this kind of game, but it seemed to work for QPR. We were starting to gain momentum, and Stan Bowles was now back in the first team picture. We faced Wolves next at Loftus Road, who were sat just outside the relegation places. Frank McClintock was missing for injury, but Stan Bowles returned to the QPR team after sorting out his latest issues with the club, and it was a good afternoon's work for the team. We got off to a great start, scoring twice in the opening 20 minutes, thanks to goals from Don Givens and Dave Thomas. Wolves pulled one back through Bobby Gould, but our 2-goal cushion was soon restored, thanks to Jerry Francis just after half-time. Bobby Gould got a second goal for Wolves to make it a nervy finish, but Rangers were playing some brilliant football in that second half, carving Wolves open, creating chance after chance, before Don Givens added a second for himself and a 4th goal of the afternoon for QPR. Talk of the title had virtually gone now, but this win elevated Rangers back up to 3rd place after Derby lost a 7-goal thriller at Newcastle. Man United dropped a point at Coventry, but Liverpool maintained their lead at the top, beating Leeds 2-0. Now, Valentine's Day should have seen the top 2 face each other, but due to Man United being in the FA Cup, the game was played a few days later, giving us a chance to put pressure on the top 2. We faced a trip to North London to face Tottenham, where we'd only won once in the previous 10 games at White Hart Lane, although that win had come a year earlier when a double from Stan Bowles gave us a win. After a quiet first half, Rangers took the lead thanks to Don Givens as he raced onto a flick from Bowles, before Jerry Francis scored twice to give Rangers an emphatic win with 2 memorable goals.
I actually scored, I think, probably the goal of the season there, but you didn't get no televised games in those days. You had only a few televised games, but I remember there I scored 1 goal where Don Masson, I think, flicked it over the wall for me for a volley, and my 2nd goal, I picked the ball up in our half and I ran all the way into their half and shot past Pat Jennings, beating 2 or 3, 4 players on the way. So one of the goals I would love to have seen again, but it wasn't to be because it wasn't televised.
So a great win then, and the gap was now down to a point before Man United faced Liverpool. The 2 sides played out a 0-0 draw, leaving us 2 points behind, but back in the title race, after all had seemed lost just a few weeks earlier. Next up for QPR, it was Bobby Robson's Ipswich Town team at Loftus Road.
That's a beautifully across from Francis, which Clement almost got on the end of. Fantastic run from the right back. Always missed that one, and Walk has just planted that in his own net. Francis cross, and the Ipswich defender cannot believe what he's done. Oh, it's troubling for Rangers, and Lambert a wonderful flick just inside the 6-yard box has put Ipswich level spectacularly and dramatically in this game. Rangers fans showing their appreciation, and they'll do it more now because Mick Mills has just given David Webb the easiest goal he will ever score. What was he trying to do? Cooper furious at him, but Rangers in front. Now Thomas, what a strike! Who says he can't hit them with either foot? That's as good a left foot strike as you'll see. Cooper had no chance, and Rangers have 2 points. 3-1.
Those 2 late goals for Rangers, combined with Man United losing at Aston Villa, put us back into 2nd place, still 2 points behind Liverpool, who had beaten Newcastle 2-0. There was a midweek set of fixtures following that, with Liverpool losing 1-0 at Arsenal, their first defeat since November, and Man United drew at Derby, as we faced a key game away at mid-table Leicester City. Our away form was starting to improve after 4 months without an away win, with Dave Thomas's 9th goal of the season making it 3 away wins in a row, putting us level on points to Liverpool at the top of the table. We ended the month with a trip to bottom of the table Sheffield United, who had just 1 win in the last 24 matches and were heading towards an inevitable relegation. Rangers had won 6 of their last 7 games, so were massive favourites for this one. But, now stop me if you heard this one before, Rangers struggled to break down the bottom of the table side. Some things never change. Gillard and McClintock both missed good chances, and we had to settle for a frustrating 0-0 draw, missing the chance to go top of the table. In a season where the margins were so small, the drop points here and at West Ham a month earlier would prove to be crucial.
The Sheffield United away, I mean, we took 27 points out of possible 30, which was an amazing run. And the 3 points that we dropped were games that both the games we should have won. I mean, the 0-0 at Sheffield, we absolutely hammered them. I mean, I was a spectator that night. I could have come off and, you know, if we're liking whatever it is, you could have put another attacker on. Didn't have nothing to do.
Liverpool also drew that night thanks to a late Alan Kennedy goal at Derby, leaving the top 4 all on the same number of points, although Man United and Liverpool both had a game in hand on Q.P.R and Derby. The race for the title was really hotting up, and Dave Sexton's side had put themselves right back into the race, with an impressive run with just 9 games remaining. March began with another friendly game against European opposition, as Moscow Dynamo visited Loftus Road. Don Shanks, John Ollins and John Beck replaced regulars Clement, Webb and captain Jerry Francis. It was a tight encounter, with the Russian side causing us a few problems, but a header from Frank McClintock gave us a 1-0 win. Now, quite why we played that game is a bit beyond me, and a week later we played another one with a testimonial for Ian Morgan against Watford. We won 6-0 in that one with a double from Dom Shanks and goals from Bowles, Leach, Givens and Phil Nutt. I can't imagine a side in the same position in the league as Q.P.R were at that time, playing extra friendlies around the league games, but that was what we did back then. In between those games, we faced a really crucial league game at home to Coventry City, and we do so without Don Rogers, who was sold to Swindon, with Peter Eastoe joining Q.P.R from the Wiltshire club. Rangers were joint top with 3 other sides, but Derby and Man United had no league game that weekend due to the FA Cup, so it was a real opportunity for both Q.P.R and Liverpool to pull clear of the pack. Captain Jerry Francis was back in the side in place of Mick Leach, and we took an early lead through Dave Thomas to go in at half-time a goal up. News filtered through at half-time that Liverpool were 2-0 down against Middlesbrough. That news seemed to inspire the team, and we ran riot in the second half. Francis made it 2-0 after a wonderful move involving Dave Clement and Stan Bowles. Don Givens added a third before Don Masson added a fourth to seal the win. A late consolation from Coventry did nothing to dampen the mood, and news that Liverpool had lost at home to Middlesbrough meant that Q.P.R were 2 points clear at the top of the table, although the 3 teams below us did have games in hand. It was a trip to Merseyside next, as we took on Everton at Goodison Park, a stadium where Q.P.R had never won before.
Lyons. Hollins' tackle didn't take, and Lyons, let's go! Tremendous work there, but Gary Jones was taken by surprise by the first save from tremendous drive from all of 30 yards. Parks, on the edge of his 6-yard area, did very well to get down and block it with his arm, and Gary Jones following up couldn't get it in the net. Francis, Thomas, Clement got into a good position and was given a good pass. Nice little chip across too, and there's the goal from Bowles. Stan Bowles finishing off a very simple move. Thomas playing it on for Clement, who'd got ahead into a good position. He'd shown us earlier he could cross the ball. That time he played the little low soft dink, and Stan Bowles was running round to tap it into the net. Oh, there'll be a lot of thinking going on those benches. That's Steve Burtonshaw on the right there with the moustache, the Everton coach. Goodless. Parks gets in a punch. The header back in, and it somehow reaches Parks. Parks punched it out. Dobson headed it back in, and there was a deflection which took it straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. Goodless. Telfer got a bit of a lucky bounce there and could make the most of it. It's come out of Bernard and he's thrown it over. Bernard pounds the ground. But he really had a chance there. It was a good cross and an acrobatic leap by Parks, punched it out, but straight to Bernard, and Bernard struck it well over. All back, I would guess, about 8 yards. Masson. And with his first touch of the ball, Leach puts it in the net. He'd been on the field as long as it took Queen's Park Rangers to line up the free kick, and what a happy man. So simple. Don Masson, an expert with the dead ball, just curving it over the wall, and there stealing in was Leach. Nobody picking him up, and in it went.
So our first ever win at Everton ensured that we stayed top of the table. Stan Bowles scored his first goal since November. Liverpool stayed second with a 1-0 win over Birmingham, thanks to an 83rd minute penalty from Phil Neal. Man United were third after a thrilling 3-2 win over Leeds, whilst Derby kept the pressure up with a win over Norwich. In midweek, Man United played one of their games in hand, but they could only draw at Norwich. It moved them up to second place, but it was a bit of a missed opportunity for them. On the 20th of March, just a couple of days before I was born, we faced Stoke City away, who we'd narrowly beaten earlier in the season. Now, we went into that game without the injured Jerry Francis, so the ever-reliable Mick Leach came back into the team. It was going to be a tough afternoon, with Stoke making it really difficult for Dave Sexton's men in a hard-fought game. We took the lead when Don Masson's free kick found Mick Leach, and his shot was deflected into the path of Dave Webb, who shot, but his shot lacked a little bit of power. But Peter Shilton fumbled the ball, and it slowly rolled over the line. They all count, and we had something to hold on to. We did have Phil Parks to thank in the second half, as he made some crucial saves. And although we did have further chances to extend the lead, it finished 1-0, with Dave Webb scoring the winner in both games against Stoke, keeping us top of the table. Man United stayed second with a thrilling 4-3 win at Newcastle, whilst Liverpool had a David Fairclough goal to thank for a very narrow 1-0 win over Norwich. Derby also won again, 2-0 at Middlesbrough, leaving the top of the table super tight. Derby then had their game in hand at home to Stoke, but they missed the chance to go level with Q.P.R, drawing 1-1. But that point did put them into second place. The final weekend in March was another big one. Liverpool had to take on Burnley.
Toshak must be for Fairclough. That's his first goal he scored at Anfield. Ball for Toshak, who let it go. Fairclough. Good piece of football by two players, and the youngster scores in the end.
Man United thrashed Middlesbrough 3-0 at Old Trafford, whilst Derby also won, beating Birmingham 4-2. So there was no hiding place for QPR as Man City arrived in West London. Jerry Francis returned from injury in midfield, but we were without Dave Clement, who was suspended, meaning a first start of the season for Don Shanks.
Bowles and Gibbons. Bowles again. Jerry Francis gone on the far side of that area, and Francis is there with a header. There's Keegan. Royal. It's Masson's. Nice ball there, beautifully weighted there by Masson for Francis. Equally so for Don Gibbons onto the left foot. Well, he'll be annoyed with that. It was a lovely move, and the ball will take a fair bit of retrieving from that schoolyard. Right across that terracing from the ground. A lovely move, played beautifully into the path of Gibbons, and just where he likes to have them, on his left foot. And he'll be annoyed that he didn't do better than that. And a substitution being made for Manchester City. Joe Royal is going off. Injured a couple of 3 minutes ago. Kenny Clements coming on. Kenny Clements, who used to be an assistant groundsman at Main Road. Shanks. Free kick. He's done well, Don Shanks, the number 2. Can't be easy to come into a side like QPR so close to the end of the season when it means so much to them for his first game, but he's done really well. McClintock over them with the free kick. Gibbons right up there, Webb right up there, Hollins there too. Oh my goodness, how did that fail to go in? Beautiful break by Rangers. Hollins was right on it. It looked to be going into the goal, hit the post, came back. Webb tried to get it in, but fouled Corrigan, and a free kick was given. Manchester City foul. Owen beaten by Webb. Owen again, but beaten this time by Masson. Bowles beating Masson again. Gibbons might get to this one. Now, plenty of Rangers players are up. Dave Thomas is one of them. Jerry Francis has gone to the far side of the box. Bowles letting it run. Across the goal there. Oh, and against the crossbar off Alan Oakes. Bowles says, what have we got to do to score? Alan Oakes clipping that one, and the ball going past Corrigan and against the City crossbar. Bowles. Francis. Bowles again. Francis again. Gibbons with a shot. Oh, a magnificent save by Joe Corrigan. Well, it was delicate play inside the box there, and it fell to the left foot of Gibbons. A tremendous shot. And a very good save. Says referee Bosey. Hartford beaten by Masson. Masson and Francis between them getting in there. And a bit of an upset there as Thomas is involved with Hartford, and then look at that, and the referee is having a trouble there, separating them all, helped by members from the Manchester City bench, and the fighting's going on there, all starting from nothing. Donaghy was involved too, being pulled away by Tommy Booth. Now, Hartford has been spoken to pretty severely once or twice by referee Bosey. And he sent him off. Hartford has been sent off. And Mike Doyle inquiring the referee what that was about, and shouldn't he be doing something about Rangers as well. All forward, Masson and Hollins, and then behind it, behind Don Masson, floating it in there towards David Webb. There it is! Webb has done it! footballer, and that's the 4th time this season he has scored what could be a very important winning goal. The little free kick, Webb was there first, a backward flick with his head over Corrigan.
What's been new about Rangers this year, do you think? I mean, it's been a wonderful run for you.
It certainly has. I think the way we've played, we've tried to adapt the continental way of playing football. Dave's a great believer in this, the Holland team, and we've tried to adapt our way of playing, and I think we've been quite successful this season.
So another really important win then, thanks to Dave Webb, who was brilliant at moving up front when Rangers needed a goal. That was his 6th goal of the season. 4 of them had been winning goals. His contribution was massive that season. We were, though, facing disciplinary problems, with Dave Thomas called in front of the FA after he scrapped with Asa Harford. Now, Rangers were fearful that a key player like Thomas could be suspended, so Q.P.R. fined the winger £100, a move that was applauded by the FA, and was a big factor in the FA deciding not to ban the player, feeling that he'd already been punished. Possibly a very smart move by the club, and it ensured that we'd have Dave Thomas available for those final 5 games. Q.P.R. had just 5 games left to play, starting at St James's Park, where Rangers had already lost once that season in the FA Cup. We'd also lost to them in the League Cup. It was also FA Cup semi-final weekend, and Man United were in action against Derby. So again, a chance to put pressure on 2 of our closest rivals. Newcastle had become a bit of a grudge match, with Malcolm McDonald criticising Q.P.R. in the build-up for a real lack of pace in the back 4, especially Frank McLintock, while Stan Bowles had been quite open in his dislike of McDonald after comments made to him when he missed a penalty in that FA Cup game. It was an unchanged Q.P.R. side, and we were ready for battle. Both teams had early chances to score, but it was the home side who took the lead. Alan Gowling, the scorer, heading past Phil Parks to make it 1-0. Q.P.R. needed a response, and we got one. Dave Thomas swung a corner in, and Frank McLintock rose high to head home, making it 1-1. A nice moment for Frank after the stick he'd got from Malcolm McDonald pre-match. Now, Dave Webb was not shy in letting Super Mac know he was around, with some crunching tackles. But the real rivalry was between Bowles and McDonald, and both of them were desperate to score, and both of them went close. Elsewhere on Merseyside, Liverpool were facing local rivals Everton, and they took the lead in the 88th minute, thanks to that man David Fairclough again. With time running out, Q.P.R. in desperate need of a goal. With just 20 seconds left on the clock, Rangers were looking to build one final attack. The ball came into the box. It was headed clear, but only as far as Stan Bowles, who steadied himself, and he shot left-footed, without great power, but with Dave Thomas blocking the keeper's view, the ball found its way to the back of the net. Stan jumped for joy, and just happened to be right next to his nemesis McDonald, producing this famous photo, a chance for Stan to have the final word. A great moment for Stan, but an even better one for Q.P.R. There was no time for any reply, and we stayed top of the league with just 4 games remaining. We were 2 points clear of Liverpool and 3 points clear of Man United and Derby. Now, Liverpool did close that gap in midweek, winning 1-0 at Leicester, thanks to a Kevin Keegan goal. So we were now level on points, having played the same number of games, but we were ahead on goal average. 4 games to go then, and next for Q.P.R. was a home game against Middlesbrough. Elsewhere, Man United faced Ipswich, and Derby were up against Manchester City.
Osborne going inside. And here's Lambert, it's a good opportunity. What a ball, what a shot. There's just over 10 minutes left, and Weimar gets that. Woods. Try one of his famous benders. And here's Johnson. It's a goal.
Oak, Stewart and Keegan in the middle. And it came behind them, but Stewart! Bell. Booth, Keegan, Royal, 2-0. Two goals in a minute. Derby rocked. Stewart. Well done, Stewart. The cross lifted way back here for Royal. Not back across goal for Booth. And 3-0. Power the scorer. Paul Power's first goal for Manchester City. Lee for Rioch. Rioch losing Oakes. Brilliantly done by Corrigan, but he couldn't keep it out. Rioch. Bell. Oakes. Rioch. Rioch shot! When he hits them, there isn't a goalkeeper in the country that can stop those. Farland trying to get them back. Rioch has a stab, but it hit Booth. Keegan won it well. And plays it on for Stewart, who's onside because he was in his own half. No, he's just got Mosley to beat. And he's gone round him, and he's shot, and he's missed it. No, it's gone in! Agony! Agony all the way! Newton with the corner. Header away was by Stewart. Nish, McFarland. And it's put in by Todd. Defenders were looking at each other.
Stan Bowles has been behind the kickers, organising that Rangers wall. Saunis with a shot right through there, and it's there by Boersma. Well, that really is a shaker for Q.P.R. As Saunis took that tremendous free kick through the wall, Parks went down, couldn't hold it, saw it at the very last moment, and Boersma was there to snap it up and score his first goal for Middlesbrough. Clement. Now Francis. Clement again. Down he goes, penalty. Middlesbrough don't like it, but you can be sure Jack Taylor won't be moved as Clement went flying there. The referee had no hesitation in pointing to the spot. So a skipper's responsibility for Jerry Francis against Jim Platt. And he's got it. 1-1. Francis puffs out his cheeks because he knows that wasn't the best penalty he'll ever take. And in fact, it went under Jim Platt's body as Jerry Francis took it. Platt dived to his left, but it went under his body into the back of the net. Now Hollins. There's people like Hollins and Gillard and Clement who've got to come forward, otherwise they're always going to be outnumbered. But here's Givens. Yes! Well, Givens worked his way in across that penalty area, the right foot, and there was a slight deflection on the way, taking it even wider past Platt and just inside the far post. Webb played for Gillard. Oh, a nice dummy there by Givens, on for Bowles. Bowles has gone through to the middle as well, and he almost got there, and he might still get there. Francis hammering it in, that's number 3. Superb break by Bowles and Givens, and when Givens looped it in, it looked as though Bowles might have a chance, and then it looked as though he lost it. Plack managed to block it, but it only came to Jerry Francis, and he whacked it into the back of the net. 3-1. And now Bowles. Look at that ball played there for Thomas. Here's a great chance now for Thomas. Oh, and a marvellous save. But Thomas is still there with a chance. But nobody up to support him, so he has to go on his own. And Platt saves the second time. Marvellous run there by Dave Thomas. And a really excellent save in the first place from Jim Platt. Masson. Bowles. Still Bowles. Will this be the fourth? Yes! Stanley Bowles. They're running riot now, Rangers. Carving them up. Easy, easy, roar the crowd as they're on their feet everywhere. As Bowles took that ball beautifully, snaked his way through, right foot shot just inside the post. Q.P.R Rangers 4, Middlesbrough 1. Dave Sexton, an advocate of good attacking football, must be pleased with the way Rangers have played in this second half. And now a chance maybe for them to break out and attack again. Here's Givens. Here's Thomas. They really are going for this Middlesbrough defence in this second half, but Souness stopped them then. And Webb, who to my mind has probably been Rangers' best player on this afternoon. Webb absolutely magnificent, again doing a good defender's job there. But Armstrong dinking that one in. Oh, and it's there by Bryan. Well, that stuns everybody, and in fact I think half the crowd don't even realise it was a goal.
So a huge win for Q.P.R. and defeats for United and Derby, plus Liverpool drawing 0-0 of Aston Villa, meant we had opened up a points gap at the top of the table. And even if United and Derby won their games in hand, Q.P.R. would have the title in their own hands. It was simple. Win the last 3 games and Q.P.R. would be champions of England. So, Easter weekend, 1976. Derby drew 2-2 at home to Leicester, which pretty much ended their chances of winning the title. They were now looking for snookers to have any chance of catching us all. Man United got back to winning ways against Everton, whilst Liverpool took on Stoke at Anfield.
Intercepted by Robertson. Now it's with Greenoff. 3 in the middle for him. Salmons, Conroy! Oh, what a good goal! And the man who was off the field having his eyes stitched a few minutes ago gives Stoke the lead. Peter Shilton against Phil Neal. Neal, who's scored from a few this year, but who missed one against Everton. That's tucked away very, very nicely. And Liverpool supporters celebrate an equaliser which came almost out of nothing, and dare I say it, rather against the run of play. Toshak to Keegan, that was fine play. Highway now. 3 in the middle for him if he can pull it back. Toshak. 2-1. Big John Toshak scores his 22nd goal of the season. Keegan. Liverpool spreading out now. That's a fine ball for Kennedy. And what a fine goal! Made possible by Kevin Keegan. There's Pajic. It's a good-looking ball. Greenoff getting up. Moores! Stoke snatch one back. Liverpool's defence looking at one another, but it was a good long ball. Hughes. 2 to his right. Keegan. Hughes again. It's a great move, this. Oh, yes. Emlyn Hughes. And surely no Liverpool player deserves it more. Just look at how delighted he is at the end of a week when he was so disappointed about being left out the England squad. Evelyn Hughes makes it 4-2. Callaghan. Liverpool with a man over on this side, and it's Kennedy, number 5. Turned through to him by Keegan. Fairclough on the far post, waiting. There he is! David Fairclough completes a unique hat-trick. 3 times he's come on as substitute in home games, and 3 times he's scored. Oh, lovely ball to Moores. Bloor! That's in! And it's a goal against that Liverpool could really have done without. Clements waves in despair, but well struck by Bloor.
So a win for Liverpool. But if we could win away at Norwich, we'd stay top of the table. A little warning now. Those of a nervous disposition might want to look away.
3 Q.P.R Rangers for the one ball. McDougall. It's there. Jerry Francis and Martin Peters together, and that's Webb's kick. Won by Falls. Now Bowles. Thomas going in deep. Brilliant goal by Thomas. Superb. Settling for safety. Oh, what a shot by Morris! Peters, Morris, Jones, offside. No, it's given. I thought he'd given offside, but not given, and that's 3-1, a real killer goal by Phil Boyer. John Hollins. Oh, what a good ball to Gibbons. And it's an own goal by Powell.
So an offside goal, a mistake from Dave Clement, and a volley from Peter Morris that I don't think even he could believe proved pretty costly for us. We created tons of chances, but we just couldn't take them. And now the title was out of our hands, with Liverpool moving a point clear. We'd have the rest of our lives to dwell on that game, but at the time we had to face Arsenal at home on Easter Monday, with an 11 a.m. kickoff. Arsenal had beaten us earlier in the season, and they had some real quality in that team, but Q.P.R were desperate to get back to winning ways and take the title race to that final day of the season. Q.P.R were again unchanged, and we went in at half-time goalless, so we struggled to break Arsenal down.
It away for Arsenal. Here's Brian Kidd. Parks has let that under his body, and Arsenal have the lead. Masson's free kick. Deep to the far post. It's McClintock against his old club. He's equalised for Rangers.
The game was heading for a draw, and the title was heading to Anfield, until Stan Bowles went on one last attack. He dribbled into the box. He was caught and went down. Penalty in the last minute of the game. No pressure, Jerry. Over to you.
Francis in the last minute has done it, and Rangers have the 2 points they need.
A vital goal, and Rangers tried to hang on, but with seconds remaining, Arsenal actually equalised, only for Brian Kidd to be flagged offside. Well done, linesman, and the Loftus Road crowd could breathe again.
I think we were losing 1-0 with 5-10 minutes to go. I think it was Frank McClintock that equalised, and then Stan obviously got brought down in the last few minutes of the game. Obviously controversial, Arsenal were going mad. I remember to this day that the front of that Arsenal programme had me taking a penalty at, I think it was Wolves a couple of weeks ago, and me putting it to the goalkeeper's left, right on the front of that programme. And I remember thinking as I was getting changed going out there, if I get a penalty today, what am I going to do? They can't miss this. Jimmy Rimmer was in goal. And of course, also as I picked the ball up and put it on the spot, I realised if we didn't win today, we wouldn't win the league. So it was like a penalty for the actual championship, First Division Championship. And I remember putting it down, turning around to walk back and looking, and must have been 4 players at least weren't looking. Phil Parks was looking the other way. So it was a that was a nerve-wracking situation. I decided to change my side, and Jimmy Rooney went to the left, and I put it to the right, and I think we kicked off, and the whistle went. I didn't want too many of those.
As the final whistle went, the crowd went wild. A huge win for Q.P.R. And the joy was slightly deflated as news came through that both Liverpool and Man United had won. So just 1 point separated the top two, with Man United 4 points behind, but with 2 games in hand. United's chances, though, were significantly reduced when they lost one of those games in hand at home to Stoke City by 1-0. And it was really all over for them when they faced Leicester on the 24th of April, losing 2-1. They were then in a position where they could not win the title. Derby lost at Villa, and their game in hand at Everton to leave them well and truly out of the running. It was all down to Q.P.R. or Liverpool. The scenarios were reasonably simple. Anything other than a win for Q.P.R. and Liverpool would be champions. If we won, Liverpool had to avoid defeat against Wolves to claim the title. There was a scenario that if Q.P.R. won 1-0 and Liverpool drew 3-3, we'd finish on the same points with the same goal average, meaning we'd face a playoff at Wembley. To further complicate matters, the two teams would not play on the same day, something you wouldn't see these days. Q.P.R. would face Leeds on the 24th of April, but back then you didn't have international breaks, and the European Championships were played across the season rather than a summer tournament as it is today. Just the semi-final and final were played in June. England were already out, but Wales had reached the quarter-finals and were due to play Yugoslavia on April the 24th. And their star man, John Toshak, was needed for Wales, so it meant Liverpool couldn't really play on that weekend. They then had a UEFA Cup final first leg on the following Wednesday. There was no games allowed on FA Cup final weekend the following week, so Liverpool would have to wait 10 days to play their final league game of the season. Of course, none of that would have mattered if Q.P.R. had not moved the West Ham game from April the 26th back to January. If that fixture had remained where it was originally scheduled, then wins for Q.P.R. against Leeds and West Ham would have seen Q.P.R. crowned champions, regardless of what Liverpool did. Still, we couldn't change that now, and it was Leeds United standing in our way at a packed Loftus Road.
I got my wages before we even played the game. I convinced the secretary upstairs, and I said, "Give me the win bonus." And he gave it me.
And I mean, Leeds were a good side. I mean, they're a great side. You know, when we're thinking now, we're playing Arsenal's and you're playing Leeds, who were mega sides at the time. And here was little Q.P.R, you know, they were playing to win the league.
The most emotional afternoon in the 80-year history of the Queen's Park Rangers Football Club. And these then are the Rangers players who stand so tantalisingly close to the First Division Championship. They know they've got a job to do, and that is to win today, and then hope that Wolves can beat the present leaders, Liverpool, at Molineux on May the 4th. They know, too, how much they owe the hardcore of Rangers supporters, and now they, in turn, are pleased to show their gratitude. Last out, as always, David Webb, such a character to have in a team at this particular time, now doing his own mini lap of honour. But now down to sterner things, and these are the highly professional Leeds United players who'll be out to deny Rangers a glimpse of that title. A harder side to beat would be hard to imagine, and Leeds have been through these sort of fires before themselves.
So a mighty roar from this Loftus Road crowd and a whistle from Mr. Gow gets this vital game underway. Rangers attacking the goal to our left in their hoops of blue and white. Leeds United today in an all-yellow strip. Here's Dave Thomas for Rangers. Unbeaten at home in the league this season. 25 points from the last 28, a really brilliant finish. Marred only by that defeat over Easter at Norwich that could, in the end, be so crucial. Eddie Gray for Leeds. Rangers holding off him for a moment there. Frankie Gray. But here's McClintock. Masson, a long searching ball, trying to search out Givens. Reaney across there. Only half stopping Rangers. Bowles now. Into the box and overrunning it, and a goal kick to Leeds United. McClintock. Bowles, played for Francis. Masson again. Bowles on that far side. Hunter closing in. Still we stand. Bowles took a deflection. Oh, and Francis also got a touch there. And Harvey did well. First from Francis. There was a deflection, and then, or rather from Bowles, there was a deflection, and then Francis got his touch. Harvey saved well. Francis calling for it, getting it. Playing it now for Dave Clement. Bowles. Francis playing it for Bowles again. Could be interesting now. A deep chip this time towards Dave Thomas. Hit it back again. Francis tried an overhead and didn't get a firm connection. That looked much more like it from Queen's Park Rangers. Bowles making a lovely bit of play down the right-hand side of that penalty area. A deep cross which was nodded back by Thomas, and Francis couldn't quite get his overhead kick in. Masson, nice little dummy there. Lovely bit of skill there by Don Masson. McClintock, a long clearance. Givens, a chance now for Rangers. Oh, and he's stopped by Harvey. Well, the first mistake that Madeley's made all afternoon, and the first real explosive moment too we've seen from Don Givens, and it nearly produced the first goal, but for a brilliant piece of goalkeeping, and brave too, from David Harvey. Now McClintock. Well, that might give Rangers a taste for it. Givens with the header. Dave Thomas with the header. And it's there. Well, it came floating in. Givens was up there with his head, and he went further across the goal. And Dave Thomas was there to duck in and put it in the back of the net. Now it's with Gray. That's a deep cross towards Bremner. David Webb there, so dependable, getting it away for Q.P.R. Francis to Masson. Back to Francis again. Well, the more goals they can get, the better. And there's Francis hammering it just a yard wide for what could have been number 2. Had been playing a lot more forward in the early part of the second half. Givens. Oh, they're beaten by Jordan, and now Mackenzie's through. Now, can this be the equaliser? Mackenzie hitting it, and Parks with his fingertips just turning it wide. Well, Webb was a little casual, if anything, there. Mackenzie pounced, and Mackenzie was through. And his shot would have gone just in, but for the fingertips of Phil Parks. Lorimer. Oh, difficult one, back over the head there again. David Webb was there. Trevor Cherry couldn't get his shot in. Francis got it away, and Rangers on the break again with McClintock. And look at the space here now for Bowles. Cutting in quick. Francis is right in there, still with Bowles. He's across the goal, yes! Stan Bowles, number 2. A brilliant breakout by Rangers. A lovely pass there that found Stan Bowles. Francis was steaming up at a rate of knots, but Bowles determined to try it himself. Harvey really should have saved it. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Leeds United 0. And Stan Bowles, the man who scored it. Masson. 7 minutes to go. Dave Clement right up this time, and again Bowles has got a bit of space on this touchline. Turning Cherry one way, trying to turn him another, finding a yard of space. Oh, and Clement was a fraction over with that one. But that was sheer brilliance again from Stan Bowles. And a defender as experienced as Trevor Cherry. He turned him one way, turned him the other, found a yard, and then a lovely little chip pass. And Dave Clement just a little too high with it. So the crowd have come to see a famous victory that they hope might have a lot of meaning to it, and they're enjoying every moment of it. Tremendous achievement this season for Dave Sexton, the manager. It's a little premature. And there goes that final whistle. Rangers have got the win they wanted, and now they have to wait to see what happens when Liverpool play Wolverhampton. As the crowd come rushing on, Rangers have gone through a season in the league here at Loftus Road unbeaten, the first time they've done that in their history. Dave Thomas getting off there, the man who scored that first vital goal for the breakthrough. In 80 years of their history, they've never really seen a day like this when the championship of the First Division could be won by Rangers. As I say, there are now some agonising days to wait to see whether Liverpool can get a point, which would be enough to take the title to Merseyside.
Great scenes there. Fans on the pitch, players celebrating. We ended our season top of the league, but faced an agonising wait to see if we would be crowned champions of England.
A massive party afterwards. Still got pictures of that, but again, it was so. You didn't know what to do really. I mean, obviously, fantastic we won, but are you champions? Aren't you champions? I mean, they're all celebrating. Everyone's out on the pitch. Thousands are out on the pitch, but. What was it? It was so like, I remember going out, go out to celebrate. What do you do? And we had 10 days of that.
But it was still a very, very sweet, feeling to actually have won the game, to then go up into the director's box, and I've took photos at home of that, and it was just a marvellous day, and which has lived in the Q.P.R. fans' memory.
Typically of Q.P.R, we kept ourselves busy during that 10 days. We played in the Evening Standard five-a-side competition, losing to Orient in the final. And then we travelled to Southampton to play in Mick Shannon's testimonial, just 2 days after the Saints had won the FA Cup. As the wait ended for Q.P.R. fans, we waited for the results. Some fans listened on the radio, others went to Molineux to watch the game, some tried to stay away from it. It wasn't televised. The players as well. Some went to the pub, but a few of them were sat in a BBC studio watching the game. It was all quite simple. A win or a draw for Liverpool, and they were champions. Although if it finished 3-3, then Q.P.R. would take the title on goal average. Wolves had plenty to play for. They had to win and hope Birmingham lost to an already relegated Sheffield United to stay in the division. It would prove to be a very tense evening.
Just into the centre circle, nodded down, comes to Richards. Kinden's moving for the return, that's a good ball, a chance here for Steve Kinden, and he makes it! And gives Wolves a lifeline. Under 15 minutes left, and Liverpool still looking for this vital goal. Chipped up in the box, on by Toshek to Keegan, and the old firm have done it! 1-1, and that will be enough. Look at the delight on those faces of players and spectators. Neil knocking it in, comes sideways, Toshak taking his time, but using it to perfection. 2-1. Keegan. Liverpool ending the match and the season in fine style. Here's Ray Kennedy, stepped his man quite superbly, and what a lovely left foot.
So there you have it. Q.P.R. were 14 minutes away from being crowned champions of England. A brilliant season, but a heartbreaking end. We won 14 of our last 17 games. An incredible effort. So close, but yet so far.
It was a sad way to sit in a TV room and watch 90 minutes football and see your whole season sort of go up in flames, really. Very disappointing.
I said, I'm going to get drunk, Jerry. What are you doing? I don't know what he done. He pissed off.
I can't believe it. I
watched that at the BBC with Jerry Francis. I left when it was 1-1. And it was only, I think, I'll tell you, it was 12 minutes. They was losing 1-0. 12 minutes to go. It was 12 minutes short. You've got to remember, we went into Europe and played very well after that. Where David Webb and Frank McClintock was getting on a bit, you know what I mean? It was fantastic. But, yeah, it was a bit of a downer when we lost the league. We was definitely the best side in the league. Everybody said we was the most entertaining side. There was no doubt about that. When we played night games, there'd be 25 managers up there just to watch us.
So here's the final league table. At the bottom end, Wolves, Sheffield United and Burnley were all relegated. And after a good start, West Ham would have been a bit disappointed to finish so low down the table, along with Arsenal and Newcastle. Manchester City qualified for Europe by winning the League Cup. Derby finished 4th on 53 points, also qualifying for Europe. Man United won their final game to finish 3rd on 56 points. Q.P.R. recorded our highest ever league finish in 2nd place, also qualifying for the UEFA Cup for the first time in our history, whilst Bob Paisley won his first league title by just 1 single point. He would also go on to win the UEFA Cup that season. Don Gibbons was our top goal scorer that year with 13 goals. Stan Bowles and Jerry Francis both scored 12 goals each. Phil Parkes and Don Masson were ever present that season, playing 48 times in all competitions. So despite not winning the title, it had been a great season, with so many highs, playing some brilliant football that entertained not just the Q.P.R. fans, but football fans across the country. This was a Q.P.R. team that will forever go down in the club's history as one of the very best to put on the blue and white hoop shirts. I hope you enjoyed these videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and check out qprhistory.co.uk for a full look back at this and every season at QPR, plus much more, and enjoy many other videos from across QPR's history on this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.